There are a couple things that I hope you do even if you're really bad at them. I hope that when you hear music that you enjoy, that you dance to it. And maybe we shouldn't all dance on a stage in a performance, but I do hope that you allow yourself to move your body and enjoy music through your body because it feels good, and I believe it's good for us. I believe it's an act of unity between ourselves and the music, as the music literally moves through our body as sound waves and vibration. And the other thing is pretty much just the same. I don't necessarily hope that every single one of you out there will sing solos in performances up here, or, during cabaret or services, but I do hope that every single one of us does sing often, and that you do sing with us when we sing all together here. In group singing, you create the vibration of sound waves that flow from inside your body and into the air, where there's a literal uniting of all of our body's vocal vibrations. If you pay attention, you can feel it in that moment when your vibration unites with other vocal vibrations. You can feel it become one. You can feel your voice literally be lifted higher into the air by other voices, and it becomes easier to then relax and open your throat and lift your soft palate and create even better sound. It's really, when you feel that, it's an amazing sensation of union. And so group singing is an act of union. So I hope you sing, and I hope you sing all the time, even when you're by yourself, in the shower, in your car, whether you're good or not, as you make dinner, whenever you hear music that you like, and definitely when you come here on Sundays. I hope today that you raise your voice to see if you can feel that uniting of your vibrations with the other voices' vibrations. My name's Noelle Hyman. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm filling in for our minister today and for our music director with the help of Lynn Demuth. And Linda Horton will lift us up with piano accompaniment. And Mary Rothschild, there she is our worship associate. We have a different kind of service planned for you today. We're really excited about it. Our music director, Katie Seifert, is currently working behind the scenes with our real minister, Reverend Sarah, as they plan the upcoming new year for us. And Katie is super excited about what the plan is for today's service because it involves so much music. And she said to me in an email, our hymns are near and dear to my heart, and I know they carry so much importance to our members. So today, we're going to hear stories by several members and friends of VUU who have been moved, uplifted, inspired, or taught something by one of our hymns. They'll share their story about the specific hymn, and then we'll get to sing that hymn and experience that hymn immediately after hearing their story. As UUs, we don't share a specific doctrine or set of beliefs. We share hymns and the stories, values, and principles behind and within the hymns. Even if we don't all love every hymn, I hope that we can all recognize their value as a community today and the opportunity they offer us to join our vibrations together in unity. So I have a poem by Linda Thompson. I might be exhausted and the children might be cranky, but I will be going to church on Sunday. Don't know who is preaching, doesn't matter. The sermon may be helpful or not, holds my attention or doesn't. It's the singing. I go to sing. I get up, get clean, get dressed, possibly get mad at not ready kids, at empty coffee pot, at traffic, get going, get there, get seated, get comfortable, get focused, and when the music starts, get saved. It's the singing. I go to sing. It's the willingness to stand if you are able, the common agreement on page number, the voluntary sharing of songbooks with people in your row, even ones you rode with there. And most of all, it's the collective in-breath before the first sound is made, the collective drawing upon the grace of God, the collective, if inadvertent, admission that we are all human, all fragile, all in need of sustaining air, freely dispensed, all in need of each other to get the key right and not sound discordant. It's the hidden life celebration in the act of making a joyful noise all together. We don't even have to sound that good. Singing together still brings home the we-ness of worship, the not aloneness of life in God, the best of all we have to offer each other. When we are singing, I think that I might actually be able to forgive you for being so terribly human, and you might be able to forgive me for being so terribly not there yet. And we might be able to find peace now, not postpone it for some heavenly hereafter, but live and breathe it today, drawing in the grace of God, voicing out our need and hope and gratitude and longing. When we are singing, I can feel the better world coming, and if I get to be part of it, you do too. So sing with me, and we'll make our way down that blessed road together, collectively better than we ever thought possible. So if you're at home and you have a chalice and you want to light it with us, go ahead and pull it out now.
We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice. Good morning, and welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Mary Rothschild. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your worship associate for this unusual singing service. It's my great pleasure to welcome everyone who is with us today in whatever format you have chosen, those of you who are here in the sanctuary, and I want to applaud you for leaving your homes on this day when they're air-conditioned and the whole valley has turned into the hell that we Universalists don't believe in. Give yourselves a hand. And those of you who are joining us online, you're in air conditioning and good for you. We're delighted you've joined us in worship today, and we welcome you, whatever your background, however you define your family, and whoever you choose to love. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome in our sacred space of love and community. Let our time together honor our diversity in all its forms as we embrace each other with openness and compassion. We are always delighted to welcome new guests among us. For those of you visiting VUU today online, please introduce yourselves in the chat so that we can get to know you. For new guests in the sanctuary, we would be very grateful if you would gather your courage to stand so that we can greet you now and after the service. Will you please stand? Thank you. I know that's kind of nervous-making. And now let's all of us in the sanctuary and online wave to each other and say hi. The camera's there. And maybe we'll see them and maybe we won't. For those of you attending in person and wanting to know more about Unitarian Universalism and Valley UU, a welcome circle will form in the back of the sanctuary after the service. So get a beverage and look for the welcome circle sign and join the discussion. Or just stay and chat. We're friendly and excited to meet you. For those of you who are new to us on Zoom, please put your name in the chat so that we can get to know you better and welcome you to our congregation. We're so glad all of you are here with us today in whatever form you have chosen. If you have a burden that you'd like to share with someone or just need a listening ear, which happens to all of us, a trained pastoral care associate will be available after the service, both in person and online. Our pastoral care associate in the sanctuary today is Lisa Bonin, who will be right there after the service. Alternatively, if you're attending the service online, Joyce Donahue will be your pastoral care associate on Zoom. Just send her a private message in the chat and she will get in touch with you after the service. Additionally, lay pastoral care associates are always available during the week via email at pastoralcare@vuu.org. For those of you here in the sanctuary, there is a quiet room on your right to use, my left, your right, to use during the service for anyone of any age needing a break. And it has speakers so you hear what's going on. Since this is an unusual all-congregational singing service with no sermon, I thought I'd deviate a little from our more normal welcomes and include a statement from the Reverend William Schultz, one he made about what Unitarian Universalism means to him, as it also is a quick look at what it means to me, especially when it is laced with music sung in community. Bill Schultz served as president of the UUA, our denominational association, for 2 terms, and then went on to be the executive director of Amnesty International. His work for justice and peace have been fueled by his understanding of Unitarian Universalism, as I suspect our work for justice has been for many of us in this room and on Zoom. He holds, and I hold too, Unitarian Universalism affirms that creation is too grand, complex, and mysterious to be captured in a narrow creed. That is why we cherish individual freedom of belief. At the same time, our convictions lead us to other affirmations, that the blessings of life are available to everyone, not just the chosen or the saved, that creation itself is holy, the earth and all its creatures, the stars in all their glory, that the sacred or divine, the precious and profound, are made evident not in the miraculous or supernatural, but in the simple and the everyday, that human beings joined in collaboration with the gifts of grace are responsible for the planet and its future, that every one of us is held in creation's hand, a part of the interdependent cosmic web, and hence strangers need not be enemies, that no one is saved until we all are saved, where all means the whole of creation, that the paradox of life is to love it all the more, even though we ultimately lose it. With this understanding of our faith, let us continue to sing together. Now, we are going to hear from Linda Horton at the piano with her hymn story.
September 11th, 2001 was on a Tuesday, and we all know what happened. We were living in Minnesota, and I went down to the our UU church in the middle of the morning and found the minister, Dylan Baker-Soares, getting ready to put together very spontaneously a worship service for that evening. And she was basing it around the song, Gather the Spirit. This song, that night, we filled up the sanctuary. The people who normally would come to our church came in droves, but so did people from the city who had no other religious place to go. And we sang this song, and this song is what has convinced me of the value of gathering together when times are tough. So this is Gather the Spirit.
Please rise and body your spirit. Route number 347. Sacrifice will give.
Ann Schneider is going to share her hymn story.
I'm supposed to have a prop, but it's not here. I'll stand on my tiptoes. The first time I came to VUU, my intent was to slip in maybe right after you started, sit on the back row so I didn't have to talk to anyone, and then leave really fast afterwards so Mary Lou Coy couldn't even catch me. And so that's what I did. I slipped in, I sat on the back row, but then you all, not you, but you know, the people gathered there, sang this song. You sang this song, "Come Sing a Song with Me." And I'm thinking, come sing a song with me that I might know your mind. And I'm kind of looking around thinking, you know, I think maybe I'll come back next week. I think maybe there's some people here that I would like to get to know. And I did come back, and this has been my favorite, one of my favorite UU songs of all time. And so that's the one that I would like us all to sing this morning. Come sing a song with me, and you can stand up as we sing, if you're able.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rolls in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rolls in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rolls in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Hi, my name is Nancy Wittenberg, and I use she, her pronouns. My son was 4 years old when I first heard about Unitarian Universalists. I happened to be having one of those days, and I desperately needed to get out of the house and to be around adults. But my friend already had plans on attending a new member class. She asked if I wanted to tag along for something to do. Luckily for me, there was free babysitting, so heck yeah, I said. I became a member in early 2005, in a huge part due to what we used to call religious education. Promoting ideals such as caring about others, equality, creativity, and honoring each person for who they are deeply touched my heart. That is why This Little Light of Mine in the Bridge of Love was the first song I thought of when asked what hymn had an impact on me. Thank you for listening, and we'll sing the song during the Bridge of Love.
Good morning. I am Marcy Bowden. I'm your Director of Faith Formation Ministry, which used to be called Religious Education, and I use she, her pronouns. So a song that's important to me is our UU, oops, not that screen back there, our UU principal song that the children are learning to sing. So I want to invite you all to sing this song with us. Invite any children or young at the heart to come down front with us. We have our children's chalice to collect any collection if anybody has anything, and we are going to sing the seventh principal song to the tune of Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music, with music by Richard Rogers and words by Hammerstein.
Awesome. You can rise. One each person is important to be kind in all you do. Three, we help each other learn. Four, search for what is true. Five, people have a say. Six, we're for a peaceful world. Seven, the world blocks the way. That will bring us back to me and you. One each person is important to be kind in all you do. Three, we help each other learn. Four, and search for what is true. All people have a say. Six, we're for a peaceful world. Seven, the world blocks the way. That will bring us back to me and you.
If you will form the Bridge of Love, the children will meet their teachers outside, and we will be singing This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I just learned from Mary that that was an African American spiritual during times of slavery and became a song sung a lot in the civil rights movement. I think I'm next, but I have to check my notes. I am. Okay. I grew up as part of the Mormon community, otherwise known by their more formal name, the Latter-day Saints, which means that I grew up in a culture that fears and discourages expressions of negativity, like anger. And some will tell you that a result of this discouragement of experiencing inevitable negative emotions
and expressing negative emotions. Some will tell you that my people tend to express them in a very quiet, covert, maybe passive-aggressive way. I don't know. I don't know if that's more true of Mormons than any other group of people. I don't know. I hear that Northeasterners might tell you that Westerners are the same way, and I think a lot of Europeans might say that all of Americans are the same way. I'm not sure, but what I do know is I was chastised as an adult even for being so angry after the videos were released of the murder of George Floyd by police officers. Doctrinally, Latter-day Saints do believe in righteous anger because it is taught to us to explain how Jesus was still a good person after he got mad and knocked some tables around and cracked a whip at people at the temple. But culturally we were taught to always be shiny, happy people, not to express anger or other negative forms of human emotion. And so you can imagine the shock that I felt one Sunday as I was new here in our sanctuary to see the words in the title of one of our hymns, "We are a gentle, angry people." It might as well have been a four-letter word. It had that impact on me, my initial impact. So I've asked Mary first to share where this hymn comes from.
Which I wrote without crying, so you'll have to bear with me. And also I just spilled, a good quart of water on the floor, which Amanda is mopping up. Things happen, what can I tell you? This is the story of We Are a Gentle, Angry People, in case you don't know it. Thanks, Amanda. On November 27th, 1978, Dan White, a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, walked into Mayor George Mosconi's office at City Hall and shot him dead in cold blood. He then walked into Harvey Milk's office and shot him dead as well. Milk was the first openly gay political office holder in the nation who ran on making the gay community seen in the city, and whose importance to the mostly closeted, it was 1978, gay community nationally and San Francisco progressives more generally was incalculable. After killing both men in cold blood, White calmly walked out of City Hall. News of the murders, and I remember that day vividly, shocked everyone and spread rapidly. People, especially members of the LGBTQ community, many of whom came out publicly that day because of Milk's murder, gathered in the center of the gay community, the Castro district of the city, determined to grieve together, march to City Hall, and get payback. The police expected a major riot, and so did most of the people involved. Enter Holly Near, a local lesbian folk singer, a well-known young woman of the community who she's my age, so she's not young anymore, who almost on the spot made up this song, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," and led the crowd in singing it in the Castro and their candlelight march to City Hall from the Castro, along with many politicians, including Dianne Feinstein, now the new mayor of San Francisco because of the line of succession. She was chair of the Board of Supervisors, marched with their candles, singing verse after verse, instantly made up by Holly Near, the entire way to City Hall. There was no violence that night, and pretty much everyone realized that the healing power of community music was what had made that happen. It helped save the city from even more heartbreaking violence that night.
I'd been away from the Mormon community and geographically separated from my family for about 15 years before I heard this song. And that initial look at the title, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," despite my distance from my heritage, I felt a sudden, instinctive, automatic reaction of shock and almost abhorrence to see a hymn where we would sing the word angry and like, we are angry. After that moment of my initial silent internal gasp, I learned first that I still had within my nervous system some patterns from my culture and my upbringing, despite what I then cognitively thought. But that song also became one of our beloved UU hymns after the civil rights event. And it taught me that I can learn to recognize and acknowledge my anger when I feel it, and sometimes even to claim my own anger, which I did when I was chastised by that one person who reacted to my writing on Facebook about the injustice done against Black Americans and George Floyd. I was given an exasperated question, why are you so angry? So please stand in body or spirit and join with me in singing, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Before Connor introduces her story, I'm going to say also that Holly Near came and gave a concert here when she sang that with all of us. She's still touring, but not very often. But there are lots of albums for her, and she has her own recording label. And now Connor Suprini is going to tell us about her hymn story, "The Tide is Rising."
My name is Connor Campini. My pronouns are she, her. I've actually been in regular attendance here for over a year now and became an official member last month. But if you don't recognize me, That's understandable. I consider myself an introvert and often show up a little late and leave a little early. Last summer, when I first attended, hymns and music were one of the most noticeable things on my first visit. Yet, despite my misgivings about being a vocally challenged person in a singing congregation, I kept coming back, as even that first Sunday, I found myself welling with emotion, hearing the voices of the congregation, singing hymns I had never heard before, yet left me feeling deeply seen. I kept having these little experiences some of our witchier members might describe as signs and synchronicities, sitting here each morning, unknown to basically everyone, and somehow always hearing exactly the right words at exactly the right time. I had a particularly moving experience with a hymn seeing me at just the right moment a few Sundays ago. I was in the pews, entire body tight with nauseous anticipation of a then upcoming conversation with my parents regarding the future caretaking needs of my older brother, who has many congenital medical and mental challenges. My parents have been his caretakers full-time for 35 years, and as his conditions have worsened, so has their mental and physical health. They have long clung to the assumption that someday my sister or I would take over his care full-time. But in recent years, it has become apparent to my sister and I that more significant support is needed than any of us can provide long-term. At the precipice of this family meeting, I was terrified of all the ways this touchy conversation could turn sour. And then, as we often are, I was asked to stand in body or spirit, and the hymn, "The Tide is Rising," began to resonate through the sanctuary. The primary chorus goes, "The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we're called to be." My chest was suddenly filled with the expansiveness I associate with the feeling of love and light. These newfound words reminding me of two important messages. The first being what I often call the power of "and," which reminds me of the reality that life is almost always a duality of experiences that seem at odds but coexist. You can be terrified and excited, as I am standing here this morning. The task can be mighty, and so can we. The second message was the reminder of my own power. The big, expansive feeling in my chest prompted me to recall I had instigated this conversation from a place of love, not fear. If I didn't love my parents and brother deeply, I wouldn't have put myself in this uncomfortable position. I was reminded that love is mighty, and that every choice I've ever made from a place of love has led me in the right direction. I reminded myself of those truths before I stepped into my parents' house a few weeks ago, and I carry the words of this hymn with me as life continues to find ways to inconveniently obscure my own power. Every time I turn on the news or look outside to find seemingly unrelenting chaos or senseless poverty, and wonder how any of us could possibly put a pinky on the scale in the direction of justice, something sturdy and quiet in my chest whispers, "The task is mighty, but so are we. This is where we are called to be." And now, please stand in body or spirit, for the tide is rising.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This land is holy, and so are we. This land is holy, and so is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
My name is Nick Carr, and the first time I ever attended a service at the UU, we sang Lean on Me, and I loved the fact that that song could be considered a hymn, and I took it as a sign that I was in the right place. Please rise and body your spirit.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Being here. No, it's, yes, it's the clapping game. Our notes are a little confusing here, I think. So we're going to play a clapping game as our special music number. So I thought we would invert, like usually we don't sing quite as much. So we're not going to sing, although there's a little dun 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 dun. You can do that if you want. It's like a singing accompaniment. Everything's upside down right now because you're also giving the special music number, but I'm going to teach it to you. So let's hope we do a good job because you get like one chance to learn it and no practice. So this is a game my sister and I used to play, and this is a rhythm game, and it's just all about the game of trying to like do the rhythm and do it right. It's not really super tricky, but it's fun, and it is a little tricky, and it's just something kind of weird about humans. We love rhythm. There are a few animals that do too, but mostly it's a human thing. We love rhythm, and they think that maybe it works with a number of different brain centers. And that's why we get such a high from it, is because we're lighting up so many different brain centers at once. Okay, so the first round, everything is doubled. You go kind of like dum dum da da, and you can just mirror me. Da dum dum da da, da dum dum da da da, and then it changes. So every time we go dum da dum dum dum, then we always do this dum da dum dum dum. Okay, so it's 2 2 2 2 2 2, and then we get to dum 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 dum. We go slap, cross, slap, clap. I made those words up, those cueing words just now, so they may not stay consistent. Okay, so then let's do that one once, and then we'll add on the next part. So you ready? And it goes dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum bum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum bum bum bum. Okay, it changes next. It's one time instead of twice. Dum dum da da. You can join me. Dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum bum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum bum. Okay, it's supposed to get faster and faster, and so we'll see how we go, but there's one more round, and it's slap, cross, slap, I think, dum, dum, da, da, yeah. Slap, cross, slap, slap, cross, slap, slap, cross, slap, and then dum, da, dum, bum, bum. And then we repeat it. You're not getting a practice for this one. We're just gonna do it. Are you ready? We'll see how it goes by the end. And here we go. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum bum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum ba dum bum bum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum. Bum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum da dum dum bum dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum. Woo!
Thank you for that. Woof. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. So my name is Amanda Lee, and my pronouns are she, her. And I've picked a song today that I really enjoyed. It's when Noel asked me if there was a song that really spoke to me. It's just the first one that came to my mind. We sang it a while back in the choir, and I really enjoyed the four-piece part of it. But this song is called Sia Hamba. And there's just something about the rhythm of it that I really enjoy. It kind of fills me with like wonder and joy. First of all, you're singing these words, and it's written in Zulu, or at least the first verse is, and so it's like you're singing something, you're not even really sure what you're singing, and then you get to the English verse, and then I hear words that sound like something that could have come out of my childhood hymnal. I grew up singing out of the Baptist hymnal, and so the English translation is "We are marching in the light of God." So I got curious about where did this song come from? Like there's Zulu, and then there's this kind of like Christian flavor, and like what is this all about? So I looked up some facts, and it turns out that this song originated in South Africa around 1950, around the time that Elvis and Johnny Cash were getting started over here. This song is getting started in South Africa. I thought that was really interesting, and we're not really sure if it was a Zulu folk song that Christian words got laid on top of, or if it was a all new creation that was being formed during the time of the apartheid in South Africa. So I thought that was really interesting. And the style of the song itself is called a zipper song because it's really just one phrase that you sing over and over and over again, which makes it a really great type of song for protests, rallies, and demonstrations. And this song was actually popularized during the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. So I thought, oh, it was really interesting. It got added to our hymnal around 1990, the UU hymnal, and it also exists in hymnals in lots of other denominations. So it's a really popular song, and it's a lot of fun to sing. So I hope you guys can join us in body or spirit and standing and sing the song.
I want to invite you to get into the aisles and dance if you want to. Oh, I'm sorry, Linda. I was just like trying to get ahead of you. This is like a song we traditionally do as a procession with the choir. And so in honor of that tradition, and choir members, maybe your confidence, having done it, will, just wherever you want, in the aisles or in the front, if you are able, you can come and dance around with us. And I've got like a cordless mic, and so we can dance too if you want, okay? So if you want to join us and dance in the aisles or in the front, you can. For our nervous system, the vagal nerve, which is the nerve responsible for our body going out of fight or flight and into rest and digest, runs through the throat. And when we vibrate our vocal cords, we trigger that relaxation response. And we trigger it together as a group. So let's trigger it. As we move into our time of centering after Kama White tells her hymn story. When we do sing her hymn story, you are welcome to bring your sorrows to any one of our stations here. We've got a water fountain and little dropper things, so you can add some water to the fountain in honor of somebody that you are wanting to pray for or have best wishes for that maybe needs some upliftment. There's the candle, so you could light a candle, and you could also take a stone from the smaller bowl and place it in the sand on the other bowl. We're singing.
Return Again is a hymn I encountered in a UU church
during an earth-based fall service. It was a moment of transition into a dormant season. And for me, the music gave a profound voice to the experience of that time of change. It gave me a shape for a lifelong intuitive understanding of what is holy. I think it actually introduced me to meditation before I really even knew what that meant. Its words, and at least as much its rhythm, form a haunting, grounding, deepening guide into the layers of what is. Despite not once mentioning the natural world, it somehow feels deeply connected to nature. Please remain seated as we sing Return Again.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again.
Just take a moment now to close your eyes if you like and feel whatever is present for you in your body. Physical sensations. Sometimes there's a tingling, a fluttering, a heaviness, a rock. Sometimes there's tension in shoulders. There's temperature, warmth, or coolness, and sometimes both. Maybe the feeling of your feet on the floor, and your body in your chair. Are there emotions present? And notice, are the emotions present in your body? Bring your attention to your breath. And take a nice breath in and out. Thank you. You can open your eyes. All right. Thank you so much. We'll move now to the offering.
Doing the offering doesn't make me cry. And now it's time for our offerings to VUU, which come in many forms: our volunteer work, the ways we help our congregation, and also by giving money with our pledges and on our plate Sundays. All of the ways we give of ourselves are important because we in the United States believe in the separation of church and state, first started by the Universalist Church of Gloucester in the late 18th century. As ushers pass the plates, I'm going to tell you my hymn story for my hymn, For All That Is Our Life, which is also Mary Erickson's hymn. Mary is up in Pine, where she's much cooler than we are down here, and has sent a wonderful video about her hymn story. My hymn story begins with the very first time I heard this song, which to me was an almost perfect summation of my vision of Unitarian Universalist theology. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. There it is, I thought. There it is. We must always be grateful for the gift of our lives and give thanks to everyone. We have to work to build the common good, but we also need to make our own days glad. I suspect we all know people who work for the common good, but who are so burdened down, so bowed down with their good work that they almost seem to be, that they never seem to be enjoying their lives. And I'm sure that we all know at least someone, maybe more, who only make their days glad, never doing anything to promote the common good. It takes both efforts to make the world better and also to have a happy life. And now we'll see Mary Erickson's video.
Hello, my name is Mary Erickson, and I use she, her pronouns. On my recent 6,000-mile solo road trip, mostly on back roads, I wrote daily road trip dispatches. This is my dispatch leaving eastern Pennsylvania on Sunday, May 28th, day 17 of my trip. As I pack to leave, Mennonite buggies hurriedly make their way to Sunday services. With many miles to drive today, I head north, reluctantly catching the interstate. Westward across Appalachian ridges and the wide Susquehanna River again, this time further north. I speed along a divided highway that cuts through blocks of rusty red stone, where tall grass and tiny pale yellow flowers find a way to thrive. Zooming into Sunday service, I sing along with the familiar lyrics, "For all life is a gift which we are called to use, to build the common good and make our own days glad." I'm not sure why I was determined to make this trip. Be sure I've made my own days glad. Later, the congregation sings a round asking, "Dear friends, let me tell you how I feel," and declaring, "You have given me so much pleasure. I love you." So true, even if not always spoken to friends at home or on the road. End of dispatch. VUU rituals, like seeing dear friends ritualistically in a round, make me feel at home at VUU, where I can cry as well as. Years ago, my late sister drew my attention to the last line of "For all that is our life," which, when I am at my best, I strive to do, to build the common good and make our own days glad. Thank you.
And now please stand as you are able, in body or in spirit, while we sing "For All That Is Our Life."
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For these which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrows we must bear, for failures we have lost, for each new thing we learn, for fruitful hours and tasks, we come
I don't really love certain words. I'm just getting comfortable with certain words like holy. And there's something about the tune and the line when our heart is in a holy place. I'm sorry, I confess, it just feels a little cheesy to me. So I'm get excited necessarily when I hear that song until we start singing it. And at some point I realized there's a beautiful definition of what it would mean to be holy, that you don't have to be, a believer in God or a specific doctrine. And so I'll let you discover it, but it has to do, in my opinion, with empathy and talks about seeing ourselves in other people. So please rise once again. You're getting your exercise here as we sing. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell the story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Probably be glad to know, because we've gone a little over, that this is the last hymn. Let It Be a Dance. My second hymn story is about the song, Let It Be a Dance, which I have asked my sons to include in my memorial someday, hopefully quite a while from now, because its joyous acceptance of the ups and downs of life always makes me happy. Dancing through life is a wonderful way to live, and I love this vision of dancing and this hymn, and I have told my boys they have to say this at my memorial. Yes, I am a control freak. I deeply disagree with the idea that if nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. I think it is true that usually all of us have some things in our lives that aren't great and others that are spectacular. But I deeply believe that it is possible to experience, understand, and revel in joy without even the tiniest shadow of something being wrong. So when we sing this song and sway and dance, I find it impossible to stand still when I'm singing Let It Be a Dance. Remember, I believe absolute joy is quite possible, maybe even probable, without anything being wrong in contrast, and I wish it for all of us. Please stand in body or in spirit and join us in singing Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need to reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy and time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Now we're going to extinguish the chalice.
Though we extinguish the chalice, our collection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again.
Please go in peace and continue to dance.